Guess what, gals? Turns out I was wrong. Hello and welcome to Sobriety Snippets for Ambitious Women over 40, helping you put down the bottle and pick up conscious, happy living. I'm Becca Jacobson, and this is what we call a snippet. If you're new in Snippet Land, welcome home, my dear. I'm so glad you found us because this is where you belong. If you're over 40, professional woman who's got it more or less all together, except the alcohol. And I know you'll be surprised to hear that there are hundreds, no, thousands of us out there. You, my dear, are not alone. And now you've found where we hang out. So welcome home. This is Snippet Land. Gals, today's Monday, and we are doing mindset on Monday. But the truth is, we do mindset around here practically all the time. We'll just focus a little more specifically on mindset on Mondays. But anyway, today we're going to dust off an old nugget. But first, I gotta warn you that what I'm about to give you today is in total contradiction to something I gave you, I don't know, I think about 2 weeks ago. I could have looked it up, but you know me. That's not how I roll, whatever that means. But here's the point. A couple of weeks ago, I did an episode where I made the case, I made the argument, I told you outright that the most important moment of your day is the moment, the minute or so, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds, between getting into bed and falling asleep. Those dreamy moments just before actually becoming unconscious. Why? Because there's a connection there. The barrier is a better word. The barrier between your conscious and subconscious mind is thinnest there, so we can access it. Go back a couple of weeks and you'll find that episode. But guess what I'm going to say today, gals? I was wrong. That is not the most important moment of the day. When is the most important moment of the day? Well, today I'm going to argue that it is that moment between stimulus and response. Now, this is an old one. We've talked about it more than once. We have to revisit because that's the way it works. That is how the human brain works. We have to be reminded, and reminded. So, stimulus and response, I'm referring to Viktor Frankl's quote from his book, Man's Search for Meaning. If you haven't heard of Viktor Frankl, he was an Austrian neurologist, psychiatrist, and a Holocaust survivor. In those death camps, let me tell you, Frankl learned a lot about human nature. And he came out and continued his work with helping people and writing books. So in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, he says this. I know you've heard this quote. You may not have known where it came from, but here it is. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Gals, we're going to spend the rest of our time together today talking about this quote, why it matters, how it applies to our sobriety, and why it has superseded the other important moment of the day. I'm going to argue that instead, let's focus. Well, it's not like we have to do one or the other. I mean, come on, I'm just being a bit silly here. Which one is more important? I don't know. Why don't we just stop worrying about that and instead realize there are more than one important moments in the day? So that one before falling asleep is very important. And I do encourage you to go back and check out that snippet. But this moment that Frankl's talking about will change your life. So let's look again more carefully at this quote. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. Okay, fair enough. How do we think of this? Between the moment you see the bottle of wine and you think, I need to open that, and the moment when you actually start opening it, there's a space. Now that's an example from alcohol, but this is everywhere in life, right? The moment between when you get cut off in traffic and you flip the bird. The moment between when somebody insults you and you react or insult back. The moment between anything happening and you responding to it, right? There is a space. Now, it doesn't seem like it. Remember, the sentence is this. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. We have to first believe that there's a space, because I think a lot of the time we just feel like, it feels like it's automatic. Like there's no space there. Somebody insults me and I insult them back. There's no space there. Somebody cuts me off in traffic and I react a certain way. There's no space there, but there is. No matter what the stimulus is. So any event, somebody looking at us, somebody saying something to us, somebody yelling at us, it doesn't have to be negative. The second when we see or hear or feel that stimulus and our response to it, there is a space. And if we, even just being aware of that space can change your life, because we don't think of it that way. We think of it as an automatic reaction. So first mindset shift for today, it's not automatic. There is a moment when you get to choose how you're going to respond. Now, we've talked about this before. I know you know this. You're educated, but I'm here to remind you. Remember that. So I'm not talking down to you, and I'm honestly not teasing you. Let's remember the space, gals. Second sentence. In that space is our power to choose our response, right? So not only is it there, but we get to decide how we're going to respond. And notice he uses the word respond, not react. We'll talk about those two words in a moment. The third sentence, in our response lies our growth and our freedom. When we can pause, take a breath, even pause for 2 seconds instead of 1, and consider our response to a situation, it can literally change our lives, whether it has to do with alcohol or our relationships or just moving through the world. Choosing how we respond. And, people who respond slower are, generally speaking, more calm, less anxious as they move through the world because they're used to using that space. One of the interesting things I'm noticing about sobriety is I'm just sort of automatically slowing down. I know it doesn't sound like it here because when I'm here, I'm just talking nonstop, which is actually not my personality. But I'm slowing down. I'm able to just stop and go, okay, what's really happening here? What does this really mean? What am I supposed to learn from this situation? Right? Now, obviously, I'm not going through saying that every day, every moment when something happens, but we can learn to choose how we respond. More importantly, we can learn how to respond instead of react. When we're stressed, we're battling alcohol, right? So we've got this. Let me tell you something. Don't forget this. If you're battling alcohol, which I assume you are, you're hearing my voice, you have constant underlying anxiety and probably some level of depression and a level of discomfort, I guess is the word that I'll use, caused by cognitive dissonance. In other words, you have an underlying feeling of this is wrong. I'm going through my life here. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but I'm drinking too much and nobody knows. Or I'm drinking too much and only me and my partner know. Or I'm drinking too much and I'm afraid it's catching up with me quick. I'm drinking too much and I'm worried about my health. And yet you're going through your life on the surface. Hello, it's me going through my day here, trying not to react and just respond. Hello. No wonder we react. So when something happens and I say to you, okay, take a deep breath and respond instead of reacting, you're already wound up. You're already full of angst. There's the word I'm looking for. If you're struggling with alcohol, you always have an underlying current of angst, even after you've drank half a bottle of wine. Even though wine, we know it helps us relax, we know it eases off on the anxiety, but you know what? At this point in the game, even no matter how much you drink, it doesn't take it away. Because there's always underneath, oh my God, I'm going to regret this tomorrow. Oh my God, why am I drinking again? Oh my God, I shouldn't be drinking. Right? So there's this angst 24/7. And then I come along and say, take a deep breath and don't react. And you're like, yeah, up yours, Becca. Right? I don't blame you. So that's why the first step, of course, is what? We go on the journey of self-discovery and we learn how to live without alcohol. That is what we do. And part of it is learning how to respond to your world instead of reacting to it. And the only way you can do that is ease that angst. Let loose the tightness of regret and shame that's constantly riding under the surface. Once that angst is eased off and you start to get some time and you think, oh, I haven't had a drink in a week. Oh, it's been 10 days. You can feel it starting to let go. And from there, my dear, you get to grow and grow and bloom into someone you've never even met yet. And I don't care how old you are, you've never met her. So gals, Stimulus and response. The moment you see, hear, feel, touch something, and the moment that you respond to it are not the same moment. There's a space in between that you get to use any way you want. You can use it to be patient, to be kind, to be understanding, to be compassionate, or you can use it to retaliate, voice anger, resentment, whatever else. We don't need to list them all, do we? And it's not because you're an angry, resentful, horrible person. You're living with angst. The best you is not showing up in the world. People are not seeing the best you. And you know that, and that's another reason for the angst. All those years, nay, decades, that I struggled, I knew there was a me that no one had even met yet, including myself. I knew I was meant for more. I knew I could do more. Meanwhile, I'm a successful college professor. It's not like I'm failing at life. There's a difference between having a career and having a life, gals. And I knew there was a me, a Becca under there that no one, including myself, had met. And she's now blooming. And that's what I want for you. And the first step is, well, you already know what it is, don't you? Okay, gals, in the coming weeks, I have all sorts of goodies for you. We're going to be doing our next book study starting in 2 weeks. So for those of you who love the book studies, listen up. And if you don't know what I'm talking about and you're wondering, what the hell does that have to do with anything? Here's what. As I just mentioned, I'm a former English professor, and that means I'm an expert at reading and interpreting and applying literature, including self-help literature. So here on the snippets, periodically we read personal development books and we interpret them and study them together from a sobriety for 40-plus women perspective. Now, to do the book study, you don't even have to buy the book. And I know that some women do and some don't, and both will work. If you want to buy the book in advance, I'm going to unveil it in 1 second here. And go ahead and read it and get ready. But if you don't, you just show up for your snippets and follow along and you'll get all the insights on what we're reading. So don't worry. And we don't read chapter by chapter, page by page. I do the highlights only. Okay, gals, ready? I know there are some of you out there going, what are we going to do, Beck? Okay, here it is. Actually, we've done this. Okay. First of all, yes, I'm doing that on purpose. We've actually done this book before, but it was so long ago that I'm convinced nobody even heard it. We are going to go back and redo more thoroughly The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. That's right, gals, we're revisiting The 4 Agreements. This is an amazing little book. We're going to go through The 4 Agreements chapter by chapter together. This is going to take us 5 weeks because we're going to spend the first week on the introduction, and each of the following 4 Mondays, we're going to do the 4 agreements, each of which is a chapter. And let me tell you, these agreements applied in sobriety can make a massive difference. So if you're interested in doing the book study and following along, we're going to start that on November 3rd. November 3rd, Monday, we are going to crack open the 4 agreements and study together the introduction. And another thing we got going on here in Snippet Land, next Monday, the 27th, I am going to come to you on Monday with a little 7-day challenge. That's right, a 7-day challenge on, ready? Momentum. So 1 week from today, I'm going to walk you through a 1-week challenge on getting some momentum in your life. And by a challenge, I just mean I'm going to give you a 1 small action you can take each day next week to get your momentum going and keep it going. You'll receive those little daily do's, if we want to call them that, both here on the snippets on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, and via email on Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. So it'll be a 7-day challenge. You'll be hearing from me on one of those avenues. And I'm going to talk about momentum and all the aspects of it and how it affects us here in sobriety. And I'm going to give you, as I say, little daily exercises to help you get going. So grab yourself a notebook. That's all there is to do to prepare for that, with the exception of, if I don't have your email, gals, I can't send you the juicy details of anything. And I send out amazing emails. So go to the show notes of this episode, give me your email, and in exchange, you're going to get right back in your inbox a collection of guides that I've written, including a breathing guide, a journaling guide, a cleansing guide, and more. So get yourself signed up today so that you and I are connected both here on the snippets and in your inbox. And next week, starting Monday the 27th, we'll do a little momentum challenge followed by our next book study of the 4 agreements. Thanks for popping in. Be sure to come back next time so I can keep your head on straight. Sending you buckets of love.